Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. I hope your spirit's up for today. And welcome everyone to the August Auto Showcase Summit. And hi, I'm Mimi, and I'm so excited to be here with you today as the newest member of Rebecca's team. It is such a joy to join this incredible community and to help kick off today's celebration. We have something truly special lined up for you. We have two extraordinary authors, each ready to share their creative process, personal journeys, and the inspiration behind their captivating works. You'll get a rare, behind the scenes look into the minds and hearts of these remarkable storytellers. This summit is more than an event, it's a space where creativity, courage, and connection come together, where words can move us, spark ideas, and even transform lives. And now it's my privilege to introduce our host, Rebecca Hall Gruyter. She's the CEO of RHG Media Productions, founder of Your Purpose Driven Practice, global influencer, and a number one international best-selling author and publisher who has helped over 900 authors reach bestseller status. She's also a sought-after speaker, radio show host, empowerment leader, and the creator of the Speaker Talent Search. Rebecca has contributed to more than 40 published books, written for multiple magazines, and has been featured in major media, including the Huffington Post, ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, and Tribe Global. Her mission today and always is to help you shine. So, Rebecca, let's get this celebration started. You can now take the stage.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mimi. I appreciate that beautiful introduction and welcome everyone who's joining us today. We are just thrilled to have you leaning in, spending some of your Friday with us as we come together and really share some of what it's like to be a best-selling author. You're going to get to meet amazing guests and best-selling authors. They're both actually number one international best-selling authors that are leaning in to pull back the curtain a little bit and really share what the journey has been like, what they've discovered, as well as some of their powerful expertise. So I'm just thrilled to have all of you joining us today. I encourage you, so I always like to give you tips for success. So here's some tips for success. I encourage you to have a notepad ready, a way that you can capture thoughts and notes, because part of how you bring things forward is not just adding them to your someday list, maybe I'll get to it list, but actually putting it down, starting to interact with it, finding what's a step I can take today, being willing to drink in and receive everything that is here for you today. And I know there's something here for you today by the very nature of you tuning in. It's not an accident that you saw this, that you leaned in, that you've joined our conversation. I know there's something here for you today. So be open, breathing in, ready to receive everything that is here for you today. The biggest tip I can give you around that is choosing to be present, not multitasking, running around, half listening, checking things off the list. Maybe you'll catch something, but really choosing to stop, listen, receive. You can slow down to actually go further and faster if you give yourself an opportunity to pause and to really be present and poured into. Not only does it feel great to stop running around for a moment and breathe, but it actually gives you a moment to breathe in, drink in all that support, and breathe out, release what no longer serves, creating room and space for more. Giving yourself that mindful moment of pause helps lower your stress levels, which feels good too, right? We want lower stress, more peace, more presence. So, really give yourself that opportunity to be present, to receive, to be poured into, to take notes. We're recording as well. So if you really just want to be present and drink in and just write down a couple notes, you can go back and listen again and get that deeper insight or add more in. but be present, writing it down, things that kind of ping you or prompt you or excite you, or maybe prompt something else that you could do or bring forward. Writing that down helps you actually bring it forward into reality, not just swirling around in you, but really starting to bring it forward step by step. So that is the tip I want to give you today to get the most out of our time together. We're going to give you contact information. You're going to be able to go deeper in all the things that we're talking about. But for now, let's pause. Let's take a breath. In through the nose. I like to extend my body, so I'm giving room for lots of air. So in through the nose, all the way to the toes. And then breathing out like through a straw. Again, slowing down, creating room and space for more. In fact, I want to dial this up a little bit. I always like to dial things up, extra credit, gold stars. I love all of those things. So if we take a moment and actually put both hands on the heart and take a breath, you're absolutely safe. And you can even close your eyes so you're avoiding distractions. And notice your heart and the beat of your heart. And then as you're noticing that, you can even notice that pause in between the beats of your heart, that pause, that moment. And in that pause, in that space, what is it that you need today? What is it that will encourage you, empower you, support you? What is it you need real time that you are willing to receive because you have choice? See if that shifts things a little bit. You have to be open to receive. So, what is it that you need and you're willing to receive? And perhaps your heart is whispering to you today. Beautiful. Let's receive that message. Take another breath. Eyes open, coming back into the room, fully present. I'm even moving around a little bit, making sure I'm in my body and present as we continue our conversation today. Beautiful. So take a moment and write down what was laid on your heart, what it is that you need, are willing to receive, or perhaps that reminder, the whisper of our heart is bringing forward. Beautiful. As I was pausing, I was just enjoying that space of being, not having an agenda, not having to run around and do a zillion things, but I have this moment that I get to be here with all of you. And I just was drinking that in and enjoying it. And it reminds me that I can build those moments throughout the day when I have that call, when I have that connection, just reminding myself I can just be present and connected, not having a zillion things run through my head. Those can be later, but I get to choose to be here with all of you now. And I'm so grateful for that. And I'm excited for our conversation and what our amazing guests are going to share. I'm going to go around our virtual room as you're writing down what was laid on your heart and just see what our guests had kind of bubble up when they took a moment to stop, pause, and breathe as they did this exercise with us together. So, with that, Lisa, I'd love to know what was on your heart when you took a moment to stop, pause, and breathe.
Um, I my heart had friendship, and
Hmm.
I have I have a really good friend here with me today, and I feel a kinship with you, and I'd love to get to know you too, Amy. So, and Mimi, I get to know her too. So just friendship, because there's a lot of people in my field and the things that I do. I want to have more people, you know, connected to more people and have more friendships like that.
That.
Pretty.
I love that friendship and connection. So I'm just extending my hand, and I hope all of our listeners are as well. That those connections, those friendships are so important and create such a richness in life. And I honor that and celebrate that. So thank you for bringing that extension of friendship, that opportunity and gratitude around it to us today. Dr. Amy, how about you? What was laid on your heart? Oh, you're muted.
There we go.
I want to hear every word.
There we
Perfect.
go. Lisa, I appreciate your desire for connection. It's so beautiful. It's in that pause that we can feel connected with our own hearts, our own souls, and with each other. And that's what I was hovering over when you were speaking. I loved just taking a moment to literally feel my heart beat. And thank you for getting me more grounded, Rebecca.
Absolutely. My pleasure. It's so easy with all the things that pull at us during the day to not to become ungrounded. It's easy. So taking those moments, it really is to just reconnect. And it just takes a moment, but we can forget and it makes a big difference.
Find myself planting my feet a little bit more even as you speak.
Yep. I'm with you. Planting those feet, planting my roots, and extending our wings. We get to do that, which I love. So, welcome. I love that reminder of grounding and connecting and how that feels, because so much of the shifts and the things that we're doing and bringing start in the heart and are given energy and kind of that fire behind it with our emotions and with our heart and with our care, and then we're able to bring it forward. So I appreciate you both bringing your hearts to our conversation today and your desire for connection and grounded connection as we go through our conversation today. So I appreciate both of you. I'm excited to have you here today. And listeners and viewers, what about you? So remember, you're part of this conversation. What are you noticing? Are you feeling, again, we're talking about that heart. Are you feeling that heart connection? Are you maybe taking that deeper breath? And as Dr. Amy was talking about planting her feet a little bit more, maybe you're doing that too as we come in and connect. So as we go through our time together today, notice what's coming up. And you can reach out, you can send questions, and we're monitoring the feed. So if anything pops up, you want to ask or bring forward or even share on a comment basis, we welcome all of that and love to have your interaction. And we have our amazing Mimi, who introduced me and is an amazing dynamic member of our team. She's going to be watching all of that and letting me know as questions and comments come in. So feel free to participate in that way, and then do make sure that you are being present and you're capturing notes and things as they come up and we go through our time together today. We are thrilled, honored to have each of you leaning in, whether you're joining us live or you are listening to the replay, and really seek to connect on that heart level and bring amazing authors to you. Now, the focus of our summit is really showcasing best-selling authors, pulling back the curtains a bit so you can hear in their words what it's like to become an author or become a best-selling author, some of the journey, and they're going to share from their heart what they brought forward and birthed into the world and how it's been received, and even some behind the scenes moments that you don't always see as you're reading the words on the page. Sometimes it's nice to know the heartbeat and the spirit and the story behind the story, so to speak, as you lean into these powerful books. Now, you will be able to find all of them on Amazon. You can go to amazon.com and get a copy. On the landing page for the summit, we also included a link you can click on and get a copy. We want to make it really easy to get any of the books that we're talking about today as you are connecting and leaning in. So if you're wondering those things, I wanted you to know that's how it works. That's what we'll be going through. And you'll have access to these powerful books and amazing individuals. So with that, is everybody ready to get started? Okay, I see Dr. Amy is. That's great. Smile on Lisa. Perfect, perfect. So we're going to go ahead and jump in. And I'm going to start with Dr. Amy first. I'm going to introduce you, Dr. Amy, a little bit so people have a snapshot. And this is just a snapshot. The more expanded bio is in your book and it's on the site. I know it's just a snapshot, but I want people to have a little bit of a flavor of you and who you are and what you're about. So Dr. Amy is a #1 international best-selling author. She has worked with over 400 leaders in countries around the world. And just to list a few: China, India, Mexico, Nigeria, South Africa, UK, and the US, and is continuing to expand her reach. She is a leadership development coach that empowers and helps leaders to be confident in their communication. She has a PhD in adult education and over 3 decades of experience speaking, teaching, and coaching. She is passionate about helping you connect powerfully with others, one conversation at a time. Please lean in. Warmly welcome the powerful, dynamic, and heart-centered Dr. Amy Narishkin. Welcome.
Thank you, Rebecca.
You are
It's
welcome.
awesome.
Thank you.
It's awesome.
I'm excited to have you. So you can see my wings are already going, but I promise I'm still grounded. The feet are still planted. So
Mine too. I'm with you.
Okay, good, good, good. We're good for a conversation. And I just wanted to start with why this work of working with leaders and in this area of communication that you're so passionate about. Why is this important to you to really help people in these ways?
It's a great question, a great starting question. Thank you. I often think so many of us authors, particularly us kind of brilliant, heart-filled authors that work with Rebecca, that are just attracted to working with Rebecca, can be wounded healers. At least that's what it is in my case. I recall just struggling in school, and even back in middle school, I remember when I asked a teacher a question at some point during a break, and within inches of my face, he said to me, "Amy, why don't you ever listen?" And I remember thinking on the inside of me, I am listening, I just don't understand. And it's an example of how I was made to feel within the educational system invisible and less than for pretty much all 12 years. And that feeling was something I didn't want other people to have to experience. And I went into teachers college because I wanted to figure out how to debunk this system, and for myself and for other people. And I'm pretty sure that's why I went and pursued a PhD, because I wanted to prove myself that I could get through the system and figure out the system. And it's interesting, gradually my GPA went up as I finished, and finished with a 3.99 with my PhD, because I figured out the system. And that understanding of system was really that, and not wanting people to feel invisible, was really the beginning of this work now. When Michael Brown was killed here in St. Louis, Missouri, it was the beginning of the new civil rights movement. And while there was protesting by day and rioting by night in Ferguson, which is just 20 minutes from my front door, there was deafening silence in my predominantly white community. And that silence was confusing to me because I'm not originally from St. Louis. And I called a Black pastor friend of mine from my doctoral program. And I said, "What's going on? Why doesn't want anybody talk with me?" And he said to me, "My white friends won't talk with me either." I said, "Well, what about within your community?" And he said, "Well, they'll talk with me, but Amy, we're so accustomed to tragedy." And he and I just kind of sat with that dichotomy of the silence and the inability to talk and the need to talk. Parker Palmer says violence happens when people don't know what to do with their pain. And I realized it was the root cause of what was going on in Ferguson, was people didn't know what to do with the pain, and nobody was listening and nobody was talking. And that those conversations with who is now my pastor, he eventually became my pastor, birthed in me this desire to help people have the skills to talk and communicate confidently with just about anyone. It
Mhm.
was in my conversations that I was growing and learning and opening my heart and understanding what it's like from my own experience, but also what it's like every day, every moment of every day, to experience uh, systemic racism. And as my heart broke, it just called me, depending on your context, into this work of debunking this system and helping people enter into conversation. And eventually, as a curriculum unfolded, which this book is based on, the communication connection, I saw that leaders were inadvertently driving people out of their organizations just because they weren't understanding somebody's experience and they didn't know how to listen. And we can solve that problem.
Beautiful.
It's the
Well,
short version, but it's a lot of years that I'm covering.
yeah, no, thank you for sharing. I appreciate some of the roots of where this has come from and what has led you on the path that you've gone on, and this desire to really create connections instead of these disconnects, and understanding, and um, not having those moments of this extended silence or separation or disconnection because we don't know what to do or how to say things or
Right.
how to talk and be open. And I love that you have experience in different parts of the world, different cultures in different parts of the world as well, because this can happen over and over and over because we have our lens, we have our experience and how we look at things, how we use language, how we connect, what things mean or don't mean, etc. So I think this is such powerful work that you are doing in the world. And I'm curious, why did you decide to bring forward a book? Because I know you support in so many different ways. So why a book? Why was that something on your heart? And how long did it take to come from idea to releasing it in the world?
Okay, there's a couple of questions there.
I know.
The first question was, why a book, right?
Mhm.
Okay. And if you'll allow me, I'll answer that question first.
Sure, sure.
As I was developing this curriculum, so you bring up earlier, you brought up a really good point that this isn't just about domestic differences. This is also about international differences. My skill set was birthed out of understanding these cultural differences between Blacks and whites and within the United States. And as I was developing this skill set to appreciate someone's experience that was different from my own, I came to realize, particularly when the Me Too movement lit up, that this wasn't just a skill set that applied across racial differences, but it also applied across gender differences. And then you'll also hear people, older managers, talk about younger people coming in and whether they're called lazy or, just labels and blaming and shaming, that this skill set applied across gender differences and generational differences as well. So thank you for pointing out cultural intelligence is a skill set which is compassion for a person within their circumstances, their context. And when we take a moment to, like you said earlier, pause and get more of the story, we can create what Lisa's talking about, seeking more connection and eventual friendship. And it's been an extraordinary journey being in this work because I've learned to shift from being the knower, which is pretty typical of being part of the dominant culture in any country around the world, to being the learner. Just that shift from knower to learner, from to even into listener, from knowing and speaking to learning and listening. It's what creates that pause, that space, and people want to share their stories with you. They want to reveal themselves, and that connection is what I started capturing in blogs. I get to have relationships with people that I never would have imagined having relationships before. And it's so fulfilling. And I want other people to be able to experience that genuine human connection, as well as not feeling less than or sidelined just because you're talking with somebody that somehow your brain says is different from you. We have so much more in common than we realize, but these generational and gender and religious and racial differences tend to block a brain. That's not our fault. Brains just, they don't particularly appreciate things that are different. But when we slow down and we take a breath and we're willing to lean in, feel a little bit of awkward just for a moment, we'll learn their story. Well, I couldn't not share this story, and eventually those blogs and this curriculum just naturally, for me, kind of moved into an online course and then a book. And as someone who uses speaking as kind of a marketing opportunity, I realized I had more credibility if I took the time to put this into a book. And so that's how the book was birthed.
Beautiful. And how long from, I think a book would be a good way to get this information out, to actually having it shared in the world, approximately? You don't have to give me exact unless you know exact off the top of your head, but just to get a feel.
So there's a lifetime that's going into writing a book,
Correct. Fair.
and
Fair.
probably there's probably 5 or 6 years in curriculum development, and then probably a year into the book.
Mm-hmm.
If I was just to kind of isolate the book, there's just so much. Probably you and Lisa know that there's so much behind coming up into the book. And it was like, wow. And I thought that when the manuscript was done, I was all set. Oh, I'm so naive. That's just adorable. There was a whole nother 6 more months of work to do.
So I'm gonna stop you here for just a moment. I love this. So reminder that it's not an overnight thing. You just get an idea and bang, there it is. There's a process. And I hear this time and time again when I talk with authors, that they wrote that manuscript, they finally got it all out, all organized, all written in one place, and they're ready to now release into the world, and then realize, oh, there's more. There's rewriting, there's editing, there's all these steps in the process to taking it from that manuscript to releasing and publishing it in the world. And it surprises people sometimes. So I appreciate you sharing that oh, there was more. So anything else kind of surprise you in the journey, just as we pull back the curtain a little bit for people?
How much editing happens after you submit the manuscript. And then you can probably see my book behind me, creating that graphic to graphically represent this concept. Kathy Davis and her team were awesome. And then on top of that, I had to take all my frustration and all these ideas and all this cool stuff. And I talked to a graphic designer friend of mine on the West Coast. And I said, I'm pretty sure there's a Venn diagram here somewhere. Because when you're talking about cultural intelligence, you're talking about compassion for somebody in their context, which means you're going to have to come to appreciate them. And when you put somebody else first and appreciate and hear them out, inevitably the conversation comes back around to you. So there's this lovely birthing of a whole new something between you. And that's why I told my friend, I think it's a Venn diagram. But she and I went back and forth for a month. It just, and then I had to bring this to the Davis team. It was just extraordinary to, like, 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2, 1 + 1 = 3, a third thing. Yeah, that was surprising how much just a simple graphic.
Well, and to translate your content onto a cover that kind of builds that bridge between you
Yes.
and the reader, like it's capturing that, and it creates that connection, which
Right.
is so key to people
Yes.
leaning in and resonating with the book and bringing it forward. And I love your cover. I think it's beautifully put together. It's simple and it's clear, and it pulls you in. You get the bubbles, the conversation bubbles, overlapping, connecting. So I think it's brilliant how it comes together. So you tell us the full title of your book and the different formats it's available in.
Okay, it's called The Communication Connection, and the subtitle is Confidently Create a Cohesive Culture, One Conversation at a Time. And it's currently available in a digital format on Amazon, as well as the hard copy, the paperback. And just between you and me and
all
my
our
walk-in
viewers.
and all the viewers and listeners and my walk-in closet, I am currently doing a audio version.
Beautiful.
And I was told to be in a quiet space, and my walk-in closet is the one place I know I won't be interrupted and there isn't extraneous noise.
Beautiful.
So that's coming. That'll be coming in the next month.
Congratulations. That's exciting.
Thank you.
Yeah. Audible is such a powerful way to reach people. So I love that you're doing that, bringing forward. Now, your book that you have brought forward became a #1 international bestseller. It became a bestseller in the US, Canada, UK, Brazil, Netherlands, and Mexico. 107 best-selling categories, with 37 of them ranking #1. Congratulations. Huge.
That had a great deal to do with my husband, who's French. Talk about cultural differences, raising 4 kids with a French guy. And he may have called the world, everybody with it, and told them to tell 10 people. And somewhere between Rebecca and Cyril, we made that happen.
I love it. I love it. Well, to me, it's a testament of the need for this, and that it is reaching across different cultures and countries, that it's building that bridge around communication and connection. And that's a really beautiful, powerful thing. So congratulations. I'm really excited. And I know that was just the beginning. That was just starting the ripple as it was initially released, and it's continued to ripple out as you were going through that journey of launching the book, sharing it out. Is there a special moment that kind of sticks with you about that time of release and sharing?
You were right. And I needed to pay attention.
That's good. I like that.
We'll just start there.
We're good.
You were right, Rebecca. I needed to pay attention to the day of launch. Beautiful. And kind of set that aside and be present with that day. That was a sweet day. I relish thinking about that day. And another sweet time was shortly before that day, during the editing process. A good longtime friend of Cyril's, whose parents were in the diplomatic corps. He's Polish, but now he's living in the Netherlands, married to a Dutch gal. He read my book and read it with very critical eyes and helped me tweak 2 elements to make sure it had this international appeal. And the gift he gave me, and then wrote this book of a review. Just it's that kind of a number of people wrote just extraordinary reviews for me, and it's just this extra, they're just sweet touches that make your heart smile.
I love it. Those reviews make such a difference, because I know as an author, you put so much in, and it can be a somewhat isolating journey that you're taking for years, working on this project, bringing it forward, and then kind of trusting the world with it and hoping they love we sometimes call them book babies, hoping they love your baby that you birth and are sharing with the world. And it can be very vulnerable. And to have,
that's a good word.
Yeah.
Rebecca, I gotta hover over that, because after I handed in my manuscript, there was a couple 3 months before the reviews started coming in, because people had to read the book and write the review. So there was a couple month lag there. And I felt vulnerable, scared, unsure. And I actually had to speak with Kim, who's on Kathy Davis's team, and said, is this book enough? And it still brings up emotion for me because being a PhD, I didn't write it from an academic perspective. My book is based on case studies, stories that I unpack for people to be able to capture the skills pretty quick. And Kim, who has her own unique way of being in the world, reassured me I wouldn't have taken notes myself as I was editing the book. You were growing me as I was reading. And she helped me. It just these angels appear to help you kind of through that tender time. And I didn't know there was going to be a tender time.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. And then getting that review and multiple reviews and
Yeah.
being able to drink them in to help reassure in that.
You need reassurance. Once you put yourself out there, it's a big step.
It is. It's a big step. So, congratulations on your success and the reviews and being willing to trust others, to take that step to bring your vision forward and share it with the world and to have it received so powerfully. Is there a little bit you'd like to share about what we can look forward to discovering in your book? I'd love to hear. And if you have a sample reading or you want to just expand on a couple points, the floor is yours.
I think one of the most important, helpful tools in my learning process that shows up in the book early on is to check your impact. So often we think the way our brains are wired, we just kind of fall into thinking everybody else's experience is the same as ours. And so we see a person and go, why don't they pull themselves up by their bootstraps? Or, why don't they? And you can feel that. And we actually don't know what's going on in their world. And it was something I learned early on. I remember talking with the guy who's now my pastor, and he and I were facilitating what we called courageous conversations once a month. People from the Black and white community would get together, and we were learning these skills, and I was still developing very beginning stages of my skill set. And one of the things that I learned was that on average, white people in the United States have one Black person, and Black people on average know 8 white people. And that's partly due to demographics. We're only about 13% Black in the United States. But the other part is brains don't seek out things that are different. No shame, no blame. It's just the way our brains are wired. And because we don't seek out people that are different, we're, especially those of us who were raised white, don't have a lot of experience talking with people who have different backgrounds, partly because we're wired, partly because of demographics. No one's fault. So when I was initially talking with my pastor, I would come in with me and all my culture. And one of the things that I've learned about dominant US culture is that we have a sense of urgency. We're competitive. We got to get stuff done, which is what you referred to earlier when we started the show, that we got to put aside our to-do list and be focused on now. Well, within Black community, they're a little bit better at that. And I remember talking with my pastor, and I had this idea, and I said, so we're going to do it this morning, right? And he was quiet. And I said, I just came in white hot, didn't I? And he said, yeah, it's okay. I know your heart. And I said to him, can I have a do-over? And he said, well, of course you can. Ever since I asked for my very first do-over from him, I've learned to ask for a do-over if I screw up, or if I think I may have screwed up, or I'll say, how did that land on you? Or what did you hear me say? all of these are ways to check your impact. You don't have to read somebody's mind with cultural intelligence. You just got to get a little bit of the context in order for your heart to break for them or to feel a little compassion. And when I noticed he wasn't completely on board with my enthusiasm that morning, I realized, oh, there might be an opportunity for an adjustment.
Beautiful.
And so this is what I continue to carry forward, is checking my impact of my words and actions on others. That would be my one secret. I'll share from
Thank
the
you.
book.
No, I think that that's several secrets actually that you
Oh,
shared.
okay.
That's brilliant. But I love this phrase about um, checking in. And can I have a do-over? And most people are going to lean in and kind of laugh and say yes with that kind of a phrase, or how did that land? Or, taking that moment to kind of pause and check in can be so powerful. Not only does it give you an opportunity to kind of check the impact and see, the connection happening or not there, alignment there, but it also gives you an opportunity to kind of pause and shift the energy and realign in a
Yes.
human way, like an authentic human way, that we don't
Yes.
have to be perfect. Like, we're navigating, we're figuring these things out together, and that's okay.
Right.
And
And
you're entrusting them with that, being vulnerable, again,
you're
authentic.
trusting them, you're trusting
Mhm.
you. And it's interesting because at this point, now that I'm 10 years into this work, I'm fairly comfortable in Black spaces, but I'm not inherently trustworthy in all Black spaces. And when I'm new to a space, if I'm the only woman in the room, if I'm the only white person, or I'm the oldest person in the room, whatever, or I'm the only American in the room, which often happens when I'm in France, right? And I get reminded I'm the American. There is this opportunity to shift into this learning mode and just watch for an opportunity to check your impact. And I will tell you that even now, I've been married for, I don't know, 37, 38 years. I forget for how long at this point. Several times a day, I'll even now say to my husband, all right, what'd you hear? How'd that land on you? I don't say, did I screw up? Because I don't want to plant a seed for negativity. You want to keep the question kind of neutral, which is why I'm saying, how did that land on you? Or what was the impact of my words? Um, just so you can read the room and be a little bit more sensitive.
Beautiful. Thank you. I appreciate these are really great tips that we can start to take forward. Great questions. I hope people are writing on their notepad that we talked about, taking notes. Some really great tips that we can start to implement today. We don't have to wait till someday.
No.
They're not super hard and complicated. It's changing some of the way that we're connecting and approaching things, and being open and being willing to check in and kind of see. And it's amazing, I find, the communication and the bonding that can happen, and some of those moments that were super awkward or weird become special bonding moments when you
Beautiful.
make that shift. I find it. Would you agree?
Yeah. One of the things that white Americans are kind of known for around the world is peppering people with questions. And when I was a new bride at 22, 23 years old, I was peppering my French mother-in-law with questions about France. And she said to me, "You're asking a lot of questions." And I said, "I am. I'm just curious." And I was very proud of being curious. And she said, "It comes across as intrusive."
Oh.
And that was my first, long
Mhm.
before Ferguson happened, that was my first kind of wake up call. Wow, okay. And I learned to pause and let people reveal themselves rather than me asking, "Where are you from?" or whatever question
Mhm.
that is coming to the top of my mind. So often it's a question like, how did that land on you? Or what was the impact of my words? If you share something short, people will tell you, they'll reveal themselves in time. And I don't have to pressure it because people want to share themselves. They
Yes.
want genuine connection if you're not hounding them and pressuring them with questions.
I love that, and being able to receive that information that it comes across this way, like, oh, and being willing
Yeah.
to take that in and shift is
Yes.
powerful as well. So
Yes.
a new way to kind of harness that curiosity and have it serve in
Rein
a
it in.
beautiful way. I love that. And I'm curious, so these are really great tips for us around communication and connections and some things we can start to implement. I know your book is full of amazing tips and studies and information to kind of help us navigate these waters more powerfully. I'm also thinking about your author's journey, right? And you thought you were done with the manuscript when the manuscript was created, and then there was more stuff, and then launching, I know, is a whole thing too. You don't just hit publish and the world arrives. There's a lot of strategy and movement that happens, and step by step by step that you go through to bring a book forward and create the kind of launch that you had, and experience, and so many people coming together. As you reflect back on that whole journey, and there's someone watching today or listening today that has this, someday I want to bring a book forward, or I really want to bring this, or I'm ready to write my manuscript, I'm ready to, I have heard stats as high as 9 in 10 people want to bring a book forward someday, and yet very, very few do. And so I'd love for you to share from your perspective a piece of advice or tip you can give somebody that is feeling that pull.
It's a beautiful question. There are some people who can sit down and write. And for me, it was a journey of listening within.
Mm.
I would write most days, and I wouldn't tell you that I ever experienced writer's block because there wasn't any set schedule. It's, oh, I wasn't clear there. And I'd go get that clarified. And it was kind of an internal green, right, red light. Oh, that's clarified. And I'd go back and add something. I'm working on a blog right now, and I thought I'd finished the draft yesterday. And when I woke up this morning, it was like, oh, I didn't. And I went and put that back. I put that piece in. There is an ebb and flow for me with writing, and you might as well surrender to it if that's how you work.
I love that. So kind of honoring how you work, but I'm also hearing that you set aside time and a regular way of taking steps and honoring that ebb and flow. But there was a consistency, carving out in your schedule of time and energy. Is that
Yeah, yeah.
fair?
To the best of your ability, carve out
Mm-hmm.
some time every day. And if it doesn't, you give yourself mercy and
I love
grace.
that. Yes, yes.
And if it
Good.
goes over, mercy and grace, if possible. And if it's not happening that day, it's okay. It'll come. This babies come when babies come. I've had
Beautiful.
I have 4 adult children, and they come when they come, right?
Yep. Yep. I love it. I love it.
There's this human element, and this work is based on genuine, my work is based on genuine human connection, and I had to keep checking in with me and letting Amy write at her pace
Mm-hmm.
and being led by the divine.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love that. So not pushing, 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 but just allowing things to flow. So beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. And I'd love for you to share the full title of your book again, where we can get it, your contact information, because I promised we would do that. So I want to make sure everyone has their pens ready. You're ready to capture this information. Dr. Amy, share.
So the book is called The Communication Connection: Confidently Create a Cohesive Culture, One Conversation at a Time. And that can be in your home, your community center, your place of worship, in your factory. There's always an opportunity to create a more cohesive culture. And my contact information is amy@empoweringpartners.com. In the book, it's you can reach me info@empoweringpartners.com, either way.
Mhm.
The book is because of Kathy Davis and her team, is available on Amazon, and you can order it in any bookstore around the world, which I really appreciate.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, thank you for sharing. And one final thought, do you have a final tip or share or any projects you want us to know about that we can
Yeah,
be following you around and
absolutely.
watching for?
If you want to email me at amy@empoweringpartners.com, Empowering Partners is all one word, I would love to hear your insights, thoughts from this conversation that I'll certainly share with Rebecca. And I'd love to send you, I have a one pager about how to respond when somebody comes in hot. If somebody comes in hot in an email or into your office or into your kitchen, there is a way to respond with cultural intelligence that allows both you and them to walk away feeling seen and heard. And I'd love to send that to you.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Well, I just so appreciate your time. And I am actually scrolling through because I have comments and questions for you, Dr. Amy. So I'm just going to review them really fast and share those with you. So let's see. So you've shared that your husband is French. So even at home, you've experienced cultural differences. How has that shaped your view on how empathy fits into effective communication, especially in diverse workplaces?
Well, that's a great question. Yeah, we are navigating cultural differences for 30, how long have we been married, Cyril? 37 years? He's sitting over there supporting me, and I was just
Hi,
wondering how long
Cyril.
exactly have we. And because he was raised in Europe and I was raised in the United States, um, we navigated those cultural differences in raising our kids every day. And so when we found ourselves in this situation here in St. Louis with this new civil rights movement happening, for Cyril and me, excuse me, it wasn't such a surprising thing that was going on because we could see that the differences between black and white were cultural differences. There's a power differential. One group is feeling powerless, and that's why the protesting was going on, and they were feeling voiceless. And my experience in school, I could resonate with that. Certainly, I don't experience racism on a daily basis, but I could appreciate feeling silenced and what that must be like, and wanting to empower people who are raised white, people who are in more powerful positions, um, to be able to use their voice for good. And um, so very definitely there's a connection between my home life and this work, and helping people within the workplace create this connection. It is simply managing cultural differences when you're talking about a mentoring situation between two different generations or a man and a woman. Yeah, it's a great question. Thank you.
Yeah, no,
Did I
thank
answer it
you.
sufficiently? Is there another question under there that
I'm just kind of looking through it again. They were particularly interested in how empathy fits into the dynamic there in a diverse workspace.
so empathy is the foundation of cultural intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
In our culture, we tend to, when I say our culture, I mean Western culture, we tend to live from the neck up. We live in our heads and we honor intellectualism. And in order to express cultural intelligence, you're going to need your head, absolutely. But you're also going to need your heart and your gut. You're going to need all these centers of knowing to really appreciate, empathize, feel compassion for a person who has a different context. And you'll only feel empathy with proximity. With Brian Stevenson, just in his book Just Mercy, talks about the value of proximity. And what that means is taking the time to hear somebody out and get their story. And it's whoever's asking the question is absolutely on target. You can't appreciate diversity in whatever shape or form that comes in unless you have empathy.
Beautiful.
And there's a whole chapter on compassion, and empathy is the foundation for compassion. Empathy can come and go, but compassion is actually a little bit stronger foundation that I'm always working toward.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. And it looks like I have one more question here. So, what practical steps can leaders or people take to create a culture of belonging through communication? And how do you, oh, they have two questions. I'm sorry, two more
Okay.
questions. So we'll start with that one.
Okay.
What practical steps can leaders, people take to create a culture of belonging through communication?
Well, that's pretty easy. That's all laid out in my book. You've
So
got,
get Dr. Amy's book.
yeah, you've got 6 chapters. I gave a copy as a gift to our financial planner, and I said, Rebecca tells me I need 50 reviews, right? And you're going to have to be one of them. And he goes, well, I'll read the first couple of chapters and I'll write you a review. And I'm like, well, you do that, right? And you know what he goes? I said, I held him accountable the next morning, Rebecca. I may be gregarious, but I'm introverted. And to put myself out there like that, it's a big ask. And so I was like, take a breath. And I texted him and I said, so did you read a couple of chapters? And he goes, I couldn't put it down.
Oh,
He, I just want to tell everybody, he knocked it out in about 2 hours. There's lots of white space, lots of tools. So it's not a heavy read. And I've been very intentional about making it super practical. Within the 6 chapters, you'll have a sense of the skill set that you and your team are going to need to create this sense of belonging, this cohesiveness that we're just so longing for in society today. And I'm available for executive coaching. That's what I do.
perfect, perfect. And it looks like I have one last question. It's
Okay.
how do you handle situations where someone feels misunderstood or unheard?
Oh, that's beautiful. And that's exactly why I want you to email me, amy@empoweringpartners.com. That's the graphic I'm going to send to you.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Let's
Oh,
get that question answered. That's a foundational question. People need to feel valued and seen and heard in order to stick around your organization.
do you have a quick tip of one step we could take in that? I know it's not the whole expanded
Yeah,
training on it.
that goes back to listening to learn and checking
Mhm.
your impact.
Beautiful.
Yeah, when you say something short. Oh, I've had that experience. One more sentence, and how did that land on you?
Mm-hmm.
What did you
Can
hear?
can help.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Mm,
Perfect.
great questions. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank our beautiful viewers and joining and participating. I love it. And thank you, Dr. Amy, for all your time today and sharing with us about your book. Congratulations on its powerful success. So appreciate it.
So
And
appreciate you, Rebecca. Thank you.
you're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. And I'm just going to give our listeners a moment, our viewers a moment to just kind of pause and take a moment and write down some final thoughts and information that you have discovered, learned, or is kind of being brought up as we connect today. How does that land? So checking in, seeing what information is coming up. What are you discovering? What are you learning? What are some things you want to look into? What's an action you want to take based on what Dr. Amy has shared with us today? And I'm just going to give everyone a couple moments and then we'll bring on our next amazing speaker. I want to make sure I gave everybody a pause so that we're staying connected. Another nice breath as we continue our conversation and our time together of talking with amazing best-selling authors, #1 international best-selling authors today that have really had this calling on their heart to bring their message forward and share it out into the world. Birth that, we've been calling them book babies today, birth that book baby out into the world and trust the world with it. And so, very excited to introduce our next amazing guest, Lisa. And you got to hear from her in the beginning of our conversation today, sharing a little bit on her heart about that friendship, that connection that she was really leaning into and extending as we come together today. So, in that space, I'm excited to introduce her and just share a little bit, again, a snapshot of Lisa with all of you. Lisa is a #1 international bestselling author, mother of 5 grown children, and granny to 7 grandchildren. She has, for the last 3 years, been a life coach. She's been certified through Dr. Sears Wellness Institute, and she specializes in helping people do deep dives. And one of the things I really appreciate about Lisa is her heart and her desire to go deep. It's not just a light dive, it's a deep dive. So go deep with you and really help you go deep into yourself to be able to create the life that you want, that you get to build it your way, respecting boundaries and things of other people, but really honoring the core of who you are and being able to live from that space. She is passionate about helping you face your demons and thrive. Please lean in. Warmly welcome the dynamic, powerful, and authentic and heart-centered Lisa Sitze to the show. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank
You,
you.
you
Appreciate
are
it.
you are
Yep.
so welcome. I'm
Thanks.
excited to have you here joining us today and excited to have you share more of the work that you're doing. It's so powerful and transformational. And I wanted to start with why. Why the deep dives? Why working with people in this kind of those deep places for transformation? Why is that so important to you?
Growing up, um, I remember feeling like, as Amy had pointed out, my life was, everybody else experiences some of the same things. And it was in middle school, high school, somewhere, I think middle school, where I realized that my life was a bit different. That my mother was not like everybody else. I didn't experience some of the same things. They would tell me that she would never say some of the things I said she said. And I experienced some of those disconnects that it made it clear later on when she got diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder. And, well, when it first got diagnosed, I didn't have a clue what that meant. So I started diving into that and researching and to understand what did that mean. And my whole childhood just started to make sense. It's just like things started falling into place. I'm like, oh, okay, now I see why I went here when everybody else went over here, because it wasn't safe for me um, to have friends, for instance. It wasn't safe to create friendships, because if she wasn't in control, then she would cut that off real fast. So it was something that I wanted to help others understand. Yeah, especially once they become adults, once we all become adults, we have the right to be who we are. We have the right to have opinions. We have the right to create our own life. And creating that sometimes means going into places where we don't want to address who we are or what we've done, or, past experiences, or especially if we've been told something is wrong. Like I was very independent, and it was considered a fatalistic flaw. And so now I'm like, no, I understand now. No, that is a superpower for me. I have I have got so much to offer, but it took me so long to figure that out. And I want to be able to let people understand you've got that same superpower within you. Your agency gives you the ability to create your life your way, change what isn't working in your life, and to address those issues to make something different. but you've got to dive deep to do that, because those little demons will tell you, demons are our limiting beliefs, and they will tell you, you can't do that. Oh, you can't do that. And we get those demons from other people's demons that put it on us, or we end up creating our own, because oh, that's too hard. Well, what if I make a mistake? What if I don't do it right? What if I'm not good enough? I mean, that's a lot of people struggle with not good enough, right? And somebody who is born into narcissistic personality disorder parents um, will definitely have a lot of demons. It will create disconnect. And so we can change that. It is possible to change. That's why I wanted this book, so that others could come to terms with their ability to be able to change.
Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that, and some of your own journey that you have gone through and healing work to be able to bring this forward and kind of reach out your hand and help others. And I honor and celebrate that. And I know that takes a lot of deep dives personally and deep dives that you are helping others do as well, so they can have that real change and transformation in facing those demons and owning their agency. So I just honor and celebrate the work that you do. I love your book, and I found it so impactful and thought-provoking as I read it and navigated the pages and the things that came forward for me. And I feel like that will be people's experience that lean in and are willing to go on that journey of facing their own demons and really being able to own who they are and live from that space. So as you've gone on that journey, was there a like a clicking into place, or suddenly because I noticed you said when the diagnosis came in, suddenly like, oh, things made sense that hadn't necessarily made sense before, that your experience had been so different. As you've gone on this journey, have there been other moments where you've been able to step into a space, perhaps in working with a client and seeing something there, or in a presentation, or even in creating the book, that has furthered that journey for you that you get to share?
Yeah. So to when I started this journey in that regard, when I started actually understanding what my healing journey was, and then I could figure out how to make what it looked like, I I started watching some YouTubes by a lady by the name of Dr. Ramani, and she's considered the narcissist psychologist. If I get that right, she's a psychologist. She talks about what it means to live with a narcissist, to be around one, to grow up with one, she's the expert on all things narcissism. And it was through her videos that I started feeling and understanding that I wasn't alone and I wasn't crazy. And one of my
Two powerful things, by the way,
right.
to own and know. Yes.
Right, because I grew up believing I was alone and I was crazy. Yeah. So anyway, I remember one time on it was a program for this for healing from narcissistic abuse. I posted an experience I had where I had come out of my bedroom and I was like happy, and this is a story my mom used to tell me, that I was happy, and then all of a sudden I was like sad. And I remember being shamed for that over and over. It's like, you just got to be who you are, whatever. And then I posted this and everybody responded. I'm like, there were so many people that responded saying, you did exactly what you were trying to do. When you're around a narcissist, you need to be what they need you to be. And if she wanted you to be happy, she would tell you you need to be happy. If you need to be sad, she expects you to be sad until she can fix it and make you happy, because it has to be about her. So it was so validating for me to realize again, I wasn't alone and I wasn't crazy. That was probably one of the biggest ahas for me, that yeah, there's other people out there. I'm not alone.
Perfect. And that goes back to that friendship and connection that we were talking about in the beginning. And I love that you have leaned into one, own those truths that you're not alone, you're not crazy, and that you have gone on this journey and are now reaching out and helping others, and had decided to bring a book forward. And that's not an easy undertaking. I know we talked about that with Dr. Amy a little bit. I'd love for you to share why you decided a book is the way to go, and how long did that process take, and any surprises in it?
So I wanted to help others realize they're not alone and they're not crazy. And I didn't know how else to do it, except through writing out my story. And it started out as me writing out a way to help people fix themselves. And then as I wrote, I got more into the understanding of like, I don't want to fix anybody. Other people, everybody needs to live their own lives. And the only way they can live their own life is if they fix themselves. If there's anything broken or wrong, or at least they feel that way, because I hate saying people are broken. I don't feel like people are broken. I feel like we are just disconnected from something, from some truth that we feel, that is within us, right? And so I wanted to help people understand that they can fix their own lives. They don't have to wait for somebody else's opinion. They don't have to wait for somebody, which I'm still working on, by the way. They don't have to wait for somebody else's permission. That I'm not working on so much anymore. I've got that one down. But we need to live our own lives. We can't live our life for somebody else. As you know, when we're raising children, for instance, we in many ways we feel like we're living our lives for them. And to some extent we really are, because they need us. But when they get older and they grow up, especially when they move out, it's like I homeschooled for 16 years. And when my kids all moved out, I'm like, what do I do with myself? I don't know what to do with myself. So it's really important that we know how to live our own lives and allow ourselves to live our own lives. And what was that? There was a second question.
Yeah, no, this is great. I love what you're sharing. And this led to the book. So why did you decide a book?
Because the book, I figured out that writing was my form of creative expression.
Hmm.
And I discovered that I was good at it, and that I could write stories that people really got around, they're really got they got into it, and
Mhm,
they
mhm.
could learn things from them. And so instead of, like I said before, instead of like telling them how to fix their lives, I wanted to write to help them figure out their own way, to learn their own way of fixing their lives. How, if there was something different than they didn't want, they could change it for themselves. They knew how to do that for themselves. They could learn to do that for themselves. And they give themselves permission to learn how to do that for themselves.
Beautiful.
And I also wanted them, sorry, I also wanted them to, yeah, no, I said it, give permission to themselves.
Perfect. We'll just underline it. Perfect.
Underline it, say it another one.
That's right. I love it. Underlined. And I appreciate in your book that you have these deep dives so people can personally integrate and kind of go in finding their own way and their own process forward. And I think a book is such a brilliant way to do this, because it is a personal journey. There might be times where they need to set the book down a little while and digest and really give themselves time to process, because it is deep work, and then
Yeah.
they can pick it up and kind of go at their own pace through the journey. So I think it's beautiful what you've created and brought to the world. So congratulations on
Yeah.
bringing it forward and sharing it. And one quick question, because we asked Dr. Amy too, and I'm curious, but I don't want to be intrusive. So I'm learning, right? I'm learning
I'm
how.
able to say no, thank you.
Okay, perfect. I felt that was underlined as well. So when you started saying, I think a book, and that's part of my gifting and what I can bring to the world. So you started creating it. How long did it take to create and then to launch it into the world?
It was somewhere around between 3 and 4 years. It took the first, I say 4 or 5 years, because it took the first year of me doing just sort of processing my mother's
Mhm,
diagnosis, and then doing the research to understand what that meant, and then the ahas just started coming over and over and over.
mhm,
And at that point, sitting down and just writing out and journaling my stuff, it just sort of kind of turned into this way of creative expression. And I got to meet Bridget,
mhm.
and through her, I met you. And that's how it got published, is through Inspired Legacy Publishing.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I love that. Got support on the journey and you were able to bring it forward so powerfully. And when it was released in the world, I wrote those stats down as well. So it became a #1 international best-selling book. And it reached that best-selling status in the US, Canada, and UK for 39 best-selling categories, with 8 of them ranking #1. Congratulations on achieving and reaching so many people so quickly, just with the initial release, because it ripples out from there. And so congratulations. I love that you were willing to bring it forward and to have it already touch so many hearts and lives in this tender space.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I love the cover. And I know there's a lot that went into the cover. So, oh,
Yes. I
see,
know it's
beautiful.
backwards.
That was my prompt. Love it. Beautiful. So do you mind describing it a little bit? What's going on there? How did you decide
So
this was the vision?
I had an idea of a girl that was pulling back the corners of her life and
Mhm,
realizing there was something nefarious, and trying to understand how to deal with that. But the sword is her ready to fight, and
mhm,
just like she's gonna face them, and she's like, okay, I'm ready. I got my sword and I'm ready. And you can't see it. It's hard to see it here, but there's little eyes throughout. So
mhm,
it's
that kind of peek through. Yep.
yeah, it's not just in behind as you pull it back, but it's like it's within your day-to-day life that you are constantly fighting those limiting beliefs that were trained into you because you, out of safety, you were holding on to them. And sometimes there are some that um I can't think of any off the top of my head, so maybe I shouldn't say it, but there are some that I kind of hold on to because I'm not ready to like work through them, basically, right? And others that I'm just like, as soon as I see them, I got rid of them. And
Mhm.
then still others that I'm just sort of working through.
I love this that we get to go at our own pace
Yes.
and that you're on the journey too.
Absolutely.
You
Still
know,
am. Will be.
yeah, yeah. I think there isn't like this magical moment. We arrive and we're done and we are complete. Like it's
Nirvana.
yeah, it's a journey that we get to keep going on. And I think that's important for all of us to remember
That's right.
and I like how Dr. Amy was talking about giving us grace, giving ourselves grace. Like we get to be kind to ourselves on this journey that we're choosing to take and facing those limiting beliefs.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is a choice, and we can take it at our own pace. And I talk about all sorts of ways you can look at it so that you can make it manageable. It's not something that you just say, oh, well, okay, I've got these problems and now I can fix them.
Check.
It's not that simple. You got to look at them, and then you've got to work through them, and acknowledging them is really tough sometimes. Sometimes we just have to, look at it and say, okay, no, I'm gonna put that away for now because I'm not going to deal with that right now because it's too much. It's too much. I still have kids, or I still have, whatever your life is, you have to live you need to live that. Sometimes we don't have time to go through those really deep, difficult things and process through them. But the only way you're going to get through them is to process through them. So as you take it through at your own pace, then allow yourself the grace to make mistakes, not process through them.
Well, and
And then try again.
try again, right? A do-over, right? We learned we can
Do-over.
do do-overs. So
Otherwise,
do-over.
later.
So a question I have, so and I'm kind of picturing because I'm thinking about your cover and how it pulls back a little bit, and you see. So thank you. So as I see, oh, I identify that and that and that. I can see that, but I'm not quite ready to deal with it yet. I'm focused on this right now, kind of pacing myself with what I'm doing. How do we just write that down, like identify, write it down somewhere and assign a time we're going to come back to it? Or how do we create a boundary around that so we do eventually, we know it, acknowledge it, we can move through it, but we're not being like hijacked all the time and poked at by it.
Right, right. I start really slow in my book. So like the first and each chapter there's something called a deep dive, as
Mm-hmm.
you pointed out earlier. And each deep dive, starting from the beginning, quite literally, the first deep dive is to just literally notice your thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Just notice them. Don't judge them. Try not to judge them. It's really hard to do sometimes, but try not to judge them. Just notice them. You can journal them, and I talk about different ways. You can, paint a picture. You can, some people dance. It's like, okay, I'm just noticing my feelings or my emotions or my thoughts. But it starts with thoughts, and that turns into, ultimately that becomes your destiny. Lao Tzu talked about the different ways of processing. You start with your thoughts and it ends with your destiny. And to create your destiny, you have the agency to be able to create your own destiny, but you have to process through all those parts. And it's like 5 to 7, I don't remember how many, but there's a lot of different parts. So the first, in the first chapter, the first deep dive is quite literally just thinking your thoughts, just allowing yourself to think your thoughts, noticing what they are, maybe journaling them out. I say journaling in just about every one of them because that's what I do. But you could do it in so many other ways, like painting or pottery. I have a friend who does pottery. I have another friend who does tiles.
Mm-hmm.
So she'll paint on the tiles and then she sells the tiles for like a bathroom tile kind of thing, but they're big.
Mm-hmm.
They're big.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are really big. And she's amazing. And so there's lots of different ways of processing through your thoughts.
But I love that. It's enough to kind of start by noticing
Just notice.
and paying attention. You don't have to just instantly jump
Do
in
anything
and
about it.
yeah, it's
Just notice.
noticing. And I like that dancing idea. I'm like, oh, I hadn't thought of that. Dancing, move around, all the thoughts are there, and I'm kind of noticing, but they're not like attaching and weighing me down. There's a movement in that. So I
You
liked,
see it coming, you just move out of the way.
yeah, I like that. So I like that movement in it as well. So beautiful, beautiful share. I'd love for you to share that. I know we saw the book. I'd love for you to share the title, the full title, and where we can get it.
So my daughter, I want to say one more thing about the book because my daughter did the artwork and I just think it's pretty amazing. It's really, really good. And I love the fact that it's so simple because
Mm-hmm.
that's what I prefer. I much prefer the simple. It's called Facing Your Demons, Healing Beyond Narcissistic Family Relationships. So that's, and I, Bridget can sit, I was just going to do Facing Your Demons. And she's like, no, let's add a subtitle that kind of clarifies what the book is about. Like, okay, let's do it. Because there's a lot of fantasy out there that it could be, mixed with like Facing Your Demons. Oh, it's a fantasy book. No.
We want to be clear. So that's good, the audience, and it's a match. So that's perfect. And I understand it's on Amazon and on different bookstores that you can go online and find and get a copy in multiple formats. So that's really, is that correct? Just
Yeah, that is
yeah.
correct. It's
Mhm.
on, you can get it through Amazon, you can get it through Barnes and Noble and Goodreads, and I think there's a couple others and as Amy had suggested, I am also in the middle of making the recording. So we've actually
Beautiful.
finished recording it. I'm just waiting for the person that was doing it to come back from vacation so that we can wrap up the parts that didn't quite come across properly. So we've got just a little bit left and it should be done. So
That's
hopefully that'll be
exciting. Yeah, it's a whole process. That's another thing I think people don't always understand when you're doing an Audible. It's a whole journey. It's a whole production. It's
it's
not
like
just
starting over and doing the whole book all over again.
it is, and acting the voices in the book and the whole thing, and then editing for it. There's a whole process to it. So congratulations, excited for that coming out on Audible soon. We can be watching for that. And then I know that you prepared a sample reading to just give us a little bit of a taste. So I'd love for you to share.
Okay, so I'm gonna start with just a small paragraph from one part and then finish with another part. So
Okay.
this is the sort of the precursor. We know a special kind of pain, one that is thankfully not understood by most and still very real. Our lives, beyond the narcissistic family abuse we grew up with, can actually contain peace, freedom, and authenticity. Even if getting there can feel absolutely debilitating, it truly is possible.
Mm.
And the last part is talks about it's in a chapter called Profound Changes. So it's focusing on how our journey isn't like we were talking about earlier. It's not a one and done. This is a progression, and it's called progressive acceptance. I struggled with opposite views of myself because I was both the golden child and the scapegoat for the first 7 years of my life. I had a dual perspective of my abilities. I would go into a task, a game, a project, etc., knowing I could do it right, be the best. But if things turned out different than I expected, which they often did, I would feel completely defeated and tell myself, well, of course I lost. I always lose. I used absolutes constantly because all things seemed black and white. I had a confusing all and nothing attitude simultaneously. The simplest compliment or criticism made me uncomfortable, even when I was the one saying it to myself. To heal, I started with trying to accept compliments I received, even internally, and noticing how I felt when I was criticized. It changed some perception in me, and I began to wonder what others were seeing that I wasn't. I slowly began to see more things about me that I actually liked. I became better able to hear criticisms with curiosity rather than being afraid of them and outright rejecting them. I came to realize that I needed to be the best at everything, even if I was doing it for the first time. I thought people would like me if I was the best. Now I can be happy with other people winning or having the best ideas. Being happy for them while still being satisfied with my results. I think this part took the longest. I finally began to notice that I was actually happy for someone else's success without feeling like I had messed up somehow, like I wasn't good enough. It was a powerful feeling, freeing feeling to be sure. I first learned to be okay with how long it took me to learn this, regardless of the lies my demons were telling me, like I should have figured this out a long time ago. Using affirmations, my steps went something like this. I'm satisfied with the way I am. This took about a month. I'm okay with the way I am. This took close to a year. I accept the way I am. This took a couple of months. I am happy with the way I am. This took a few years. I still come back to it occasionally. I embrace the way I am. This one comes and goes as I learn to keep it as my truth. For me, it must include balancing my responsibility for the part I play in how I affect mine and others' lives. This process took years for me to complete, and it is still ongoing. Some of us have to step towards positive feelings to embrace the way we are.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. And I love that example that you're giving of the time frame. So just people have a model, they can kind of see, oh, different things take different times. This took years, this took months. So she's still in the journey. I think is really important for all of us because I think we have this pressure and we should already have this figured out by now, or we should be at this, the shoulds, can come instead of really. Yeah, exactly. Instead of really figuring out and where am I? Where do I want to go? What am I thinking? And being willing to go on that journey and navigate those waters, those deep dives that you
Well,
specialize in helping people with.
backwards a little bit is okay.
Yeah,
It's part of the process.
I love that. and then we can go forward.
That's right.
Dr. Amy agrees. I got the, I saw that. Yep. And the thumbs up. So perfect. Well, I've really enjoyed our conversation and all that you shared. And I wanted to ask two questions. So, one, anyone out there who is starting to go, wow, some of this is really landing for me, and I'm a little bit unsure what to do with it all. But I do know I have demons and limiting beliefs. What's a good starting place?
I would say just the deep dive number one
Mhm.
is just notice your thoughts, figure out what they mean to you, how you feel about them, maybe journal them, maybe do a pottery, maybe go on a walk in nature, whatever works for you, and then just let them flow and allow them to exist. And then once you face them, then you can decide what to do with them. But you can't decide what to do with them if you keep pushing them away, because
Yeah.
they will keep coming back.
Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate that. And then for anyone out there that has their own journey, their own story, and they have this someday I want to write a book, or they're starting to take those steps. Do you have a piece of advice or something that you've learned along the way that you can share with them?
Be willing to be vulnerable.
Mm.
I mean, I don't know that it can be more complicated than that. Just be willing to put yourself out there. Um, I've been told, and I think it's really, really profound to understand that when we write out, like let's say we're writing a book, the first version of we're writing will be for us.
Mm.
Nobody's going to see it. You're just writing it out. You're just
Mm.
writing it. And then, as you know, if you actually decide you want to publish, then you can rewrite, you can get an editor, you can do all the things to make it more presentable, something you're willing to share. But at like, my first, my first version of my parts of my book, because I hadn't finished all the chapters, was just me um, writing other people's stories when they
Mm.
were actually my story.
Mm.
So it took Bridget a while to convince me to write my own story.
Beautiful. But I love that. I think that's really, really great advice about that first draft is for you, and honoring that, and then deciding what you're bringing forward and creating for others is great advice. And I'd love for you to share your contact information. What's the best way for us to connect, go deeper, the full title of your book again, just in case anyone missed it, and any projects or anything you want us to know about that we can follow.
Sure. It's Facing Your Demons, Healing Beyond Narcissistic Family Relationships. And I am in the process of putting together a program with a friend that she's actually here right now supporting me. And that we are trying to help people understand that, okay, maybe you read the book, maybe you're trying to face your demons, but this is how you can do it with support. And so we're trying to create a supportive community that will give people an understanding that they're not alone and they're not crazy.
Perfect. I love that. Not alone, not crazy. And so, what is the best way for us to connect and go deeper?
Have a website for the book called facingyourdemonsbook.com.
Okay.
And
Perfect.
on there is it's focused on the book, and it does give an email you can sign up with, and I can that way you can connect with me and be able to I can connect you with the program.
Perfect. Love it. Thank you for sharing. And I appreciate how both of you have support in the room behind the camera with you. Isn't that beautiful to know that you guys are bringing that support in? They're joining us. They're with us today. Yeah, exactly. I think that's really beautiful. So thank you both for sharing, and for the support that we have out there that's coming alongside as we step forward to connect with all of our beautiful viewers. And we do have some questions for you as well, Lisa, it looks like. So let me Um, well, this one you answered. See, you're in sync. Um, you touched on this a little bit, but I'd love for you to expand on it. It said, growing up, did you have a sense that something was off even before you knew the term about narcissistic, that term? Did you feel like something was off? Did you think it was you that was off? Did you think it was everyone else that was off? Or did you not think anything was off?
I went the whole gamut. I mean,
Mm,
there were times when I felt like something was off, but I got schooled really fast if I brought it up because the only person I would, was allowed to go to was necessarily was my mom. So she would school me real fast and bring me back to
mhm,
whatever she wanted me to believe. And I, in high school, no, sorry, middle school, I remember having experiences where I tried to share my concerns and I got shut down. So I got gaslighted by my mother and then I got gaslighted by the world when they were like, "Well, your mother would never do such a thing. I know her. She's a good person." And they're good at hiding that reality from everybody else. That's one of the foundations of a narcissist ability to keep themselves from being found out.
mhm. So thank you. Thank you. So that's helpful, kind of that whole gamut, that whole range that you felt. And that connection point was always your mother that kind of formed the world or brought you back into the way of seeing things or being. So thank you. That's helpful. Oh, this is an interesting question. So were there parts of the book that were emotionally hard to write because it is part of your personal story? And how did you get through them?
Well, there was one particular part that happened while I was writing the book. I had, my last year in high school, on my graduation day, I was raped. And when I came up with the 40-year, um, I remember I put my name into a website that, would I'd be able to find out if my high school had a reunion. So, and my plan was to reject it. That was my goal. That was my plan. I was going to, as soon as it came up, like, no, I'm not going. But then I noticed that the guy that had raped me was going to be there, and I went through uh, so many things. I just needed to face him,
Mm,
and so I did. I, d- I drove there and I faced him and I got closure.
mhm.
That's the only way I can explain it. So yes, there was really hard, and I explained that story in the book. So it's not like it's private. I got that one out. But the idea, I'm not saying anybody else should go face their rapist. I'm saying that everybody needs to do the level of closure that they need for themselves.
Mhm.
And for me, it was like full on facing the person. So and I don't do that with all the other things in my life that were difficult. That was the one thing that just happened to be um, that that was very difficult. That was very difficult. There's a bunch of other ones that were hard too, but that one was the hardest.
So, how did you support yourself to be able to navigate through and not get stuck? So,
I,
in that situation and the others, were there support that you gave yourself? Did you allow yourself to, what did you do to be able to not be stuck?
for that particular one, I brought my dog with me.
Mm,
I brought my
okay.
dog, and instead of staying at the hotel where the reunion was, I found a different hotel, which was, a good mile away.
Mhm.
I brought my dog with me. I had her in the bed with me and I just cuddled her and she just cuddled back with me and I cried myself to sleep pretty much every night, but it was very cathartic and
Mhm.
my dog was there for me and it was not something I needed another person to be there for me. I just needed to be there for myself
Mm,
and my dog was willing to be that other person to support me and comfort me and let me cry on her shoulder. And I could tell her all the things. I like quite literally like spelled out all my details, all my frustrations, all my angers, all my things. And I just talked her to her till wee mornings and then and you know,
And she received and held
she
and
did. She just held me. That
loved and
was awesome.
yeah, so really having that support, kind of having a plan, allowing yourself room to feel all the feelings, express what needed to be expressed, and really giving yourself that love and that path through and being with it is some of what I'm hearing. Is that a fair?
Journaled out a lot. I
Yeah.
spent a lot of pages journaling
Mhm.
on this to be nice as
Yeah.
well.
Well, I'm so sorry that happened. And I appreciate your courage and sharing the journey with all of us. And that even as we're writing, some of these things were coming up and you were walking through the journey as you're creating and bringing it forward. So I just honor that and lift you up. And I know this book is such a gift to any that lean in to get to be part of that journey and to be able to go deeper within themselves and find their agency to move
Yeah.
forward. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you, Lisa, for sharing today. I so appreciate any final tips or shares.
Um, I can't think of any more that need to
Okay.
be said. I think we pretty much covered it all. Yeah, I think
And we
the
got our questions. So
most validating thing that I had was a couple the some of the reviews on Goodreads,
mm,
the ones that seemed they just yeah, they were just so I felt seen.
mm,
Okay, somebody really understands me. And these people didn't know me. They just read my book and they actually got the message out of it. And I was like, okay, that was what I wanted to know, that people are going to get the message that I meant to put out there, that you
beautiful.
can heal, it's possible. We are strong, we're amazing individuals. We are the ones in control of our lives. Nobody else is. All
Yes.
those messages.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. And that's a great reminder to all of us. If there's a book that we pick up, I think one thing I learned when I became an author and writing, I never looked at books quite the same. I had been an avid reader, but as I've gone on the journey with my own and with so many authors, I never look at them the same because I know what it takes to bring that book forward. I'm holding in my hand, or I'm reading on my Kindle, or I'm listening to the
Yep.
journey, the heart, the care, the intention, the persistence, and the going through it again to bring it forward. And
Yep.
so if a book out there moves you, touches your life, it makes such a difference if you write that review.
Yes.
The authors read them, and
Yeah.
that just fills them up and helps them know it made a difference and it made an impact. So I'm just going to encourage all readers out there, if you have a moment and there's a book that just touched your heart, touched your life, that's a way you can directly reach and connect with an author in such a powerful way, is letting them know that it mattered, it made a difference for you. So I'm going to encourage you all as readers out there to do that. Take that extra step when you finish that book or in that book and it just makes a difference in your life. Let the creator of it know. It makes such a difference in their journey and in their life. And the other thing you'll notice in all books, they have an about the author section. And usually there's contact information in there. And that's on purpose. It's not just because for drill they have to put that in there. And there's usually a real desire by the author to connect with the readers that resonate with what they're bringing forward. So don't be shy if you feel that connection. You want to go deeper. You want to connect. Is that fair, Dr. Amy and Lisa? Would you agree? Okay. Okay, so you heard it here. It's the truth. And I want to share that with you. For those of you who are moved by something, it makes such a difference to let people know, because they're real people on the other side of that book that helped create it and brought it forward with the desire and the intent to touch your life in a powerful way. So I want to encourage you all to do that. And I want to thank everyone for joining us today, leaning into the conversation. I hope you have a page full of notes. I do. And you can't quite see it with the virtual screen here, but it's a page full of notes that I have taken as we've had our conversation today. And my encouragement is, as we bring our time together to a close, I want to encourage you to take a few minutes for you. Like, this is a time for you to breathe, to process, to take in what Lisa has shared, what Dr. Amy has shared, what maybe your heart shared in the beginning as we started our conversation today. And with that, as you give yourself a moment to just breathe it in, take that in, and really see what's speaking to you, what is a step that you're going to take? What is an action you're going to take as a result of our time together today? Are there some questions you're going to start to weave into how you're connecting and sharing with others? Are you going to acknowledge the demons instead of just trying to like shove them back in the closet? Are we going to start looking at these things to be able to move forward? For those of you who are potential authors out there that are wanting to bring your message forward, I hope you've gotten some really great tips on ways that you can do that. We've actually created a special gift I wanted to share with all of you called the Emerging Author Series. EmergingAuthorSeries.com is where you can learn more of the details, but it's a collection of 9 different ebooks. They're each about a chapter in length. This is our gift to you, and it answers all of the questions we have been asked through the years about publishing, about launching. What is a best-selling launch? I have an idea, now what? Or I've written the manuscript, now what? Or how do I structure what I'm writing? What is an anthology? How does the monetization work? How do I bring it forward? What do I look for in a publisher? All of those questions, because I want you to have the information to be able to bring forward what you're called to bring forward. Because if you feel that pull, there's a reason. It's because what you're feeling that pull around is needed. And it's not needed someday, 25 years from now, it's needed now. So if you can start to take those steps wherever you are in that process, if you're somebody that has that on your heart, I want to encourage you to do so. And so we've created these tools to help you and give you that good information so you have some direction that you can take instead of just kind of being stuck. So please make sure to lean in and check that out. Oh, thank you. Mimi's amazing. She's got all the tools back there. So here's where you can learn more about it. You even see a picture of some of the covers of the ebooks. It's called the emergingauthorseries.com, where you can learn more about it. And again, this is just our gift from our heart to yours to help support you in all that you're looking to bring forward. And then you can always learn more about us at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com, yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. You can see the logo there down at the bottom as well. If you want to connect and go deeper, we are always honored to do so. Oh, I want to thank all of our viewers today for leaning in and joining us today, for your beautiful participation and questions. We'll make sure to get the replay out as promised, so you're able to watch any part of this again that is supportive, or share it with friends. We always love that as well. And if you didn't get a chance to ask your question during our time together, you can reach out to any of us directly and we'll be happy to support you. Is that in agreement? Are you guys okay with that? Well, we're not speaking out of turn. Okay, we will be happy to, any one of us that you want to reach out to directly. We're happy to connect and support you. And I just wish you a very happy, joyful, expansive Friday. But remember, you get to be in charge, not the day. So choose the next steps you're taking, choose how you're taking them and what you're bringing forward, because it matters. You are a gift in the world. There's no one else just like you. And the biggest gift, that biggest positive ripple that we can create in the world, is being willing to share more of who you truly are authentically with more people. So be willing to share the gift of who you are and shine your light brightly, proudly, and powerfully out into the world. We look forward to talking to you next time. Have an amazing weekend. And until then, keep sharing and keep shining.